Press it. There it is.
W- Welcome to FinsCast, episode 3, with, of course, Jay Ramos, Michael Sundbeck, and joined now with Daniel Zilberkon, and talk week 3 of Dolphins football, and let's get right into it. Let's touch back on week 2, a very bad loss to Jacksonville. Jay, what do you think was the main reason why the Dolphins lost that game?
Well, I think on an overall scale, I do about that game that it's very soon, early in the season, uh, to be too down on them. They're 1-1. They lost the road game against an inferior team for sure, but the Jaguars aren't going to go 0-16. It's the NFL. So the good thing is, coaches will have an opportunity to adjust, and the team will have a chance to evolve, like many other teams in the past who have started 1-1 and who have went on to the playoffs. So, I just want to put that in perspective. And as far as what would you say what lost them the game, I guess we're going to get into some criticisms later here. Um, it obviously doesn't boil down to one thing. I'm a little more concerned about offense than defense. Myself, I'm a little more concerned about the offense, inability to run the football, uh, not just efficiency per carry on a per carry basis, but the lack of volume and the lack of play type that has worked for them in the past. Um, the aerial attack looks outstanding. The quarterback is outstanding. The tight end is outstanding. Jarvis Landry had the longest catch of his career, 30-something yards. Devontae's not even there yet. Rashard is fine. They look. There's a lot of good things on offense, but I'm more worried about that than not that defense doesn't have serious issues, but I think if I had to choose, something, it was an inability to
Established the run game.
establish that run and in turn have efficient first downs, which they just didn't do.
I have just a quick steaming take since you mentioned Rashard Matthews. Rashard Matthews is the second best wide receiver on the Dolphins.
I mean, no, I don't think so, but
I,
I
I
mean, yeah.
I think he's definitely getting the most chances after Jarvis. I think that's the thing is until they find a way to incorporate, Devontae and Stills and the other guy, whatever is Greg
Greg
Jennings.
Jennings.
They're no, I think Richard is by default the second best receiver on the Dolphins.
So, Dan, what was your thoughts on last week's game?
I was watching it and I thought the two things stood out to me more than anything is Bill Lazor is so like whenever things go badly, he automatically gives up on the run. And I think that's a very bad way to face inferior teams because I think the passing game is the great equalizer. Everybody, to some extent, can pass the ball, and especially given how badly the Dolphins' offensive line is pass blocking at the moment, I think you just by taking away the run, you're doing the worst possible thing. If I was offensive coordinator, I would like pound, 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 pound. That's the because at least it keeps the other team honest.
But can you pound, pound, pound with the O line like that?
Eh, probably not, but I think it's I. But I
We're gonna address that. We're gonna address that when we get.
we but the fact that they give up on the run so quickly, we don't really know.
I mean, is it more the struggling of a run game? Is it more Bill Lazor not giving Lamar the chance, Lamar not playing well, or just the O line so bad?
I think all three.
I think honestly, I don't think this is an offensive line issue. The Dolphins were arguably the best running team in the game last year. On a per carry basis, they were incredibly efficient. Lamar, we know that on a superficial level, Lamar Miller got 5 yards a carry. Um, but according to, I'm trying to get this here to make sure I got the right number. I didn't want to say it wrong, but they were ranked second in running by one particular database. Um,
Well, Football Outsiders or the other one?
I think it was. Um,
Let me see. I use Football Outsiders to do my research for daily fantasy. So let me give you. All
yeah,
right.
it was Football Outsiders DVOA, and it measures snap by snap efficiency. And they were second in the league last year, and that was with crying about Dallas Thomas and everybody saying, and Brandon Albert out, and Mike Pouncey a guard, and Samson Satelli, Lamar Miller getting 5 yards a carry, and Lamar Miller being very efficient. I think he was 7 for 11 on third and short, or whatever it was. I think it's a volume issue. It's 100% a volume issue. Uh, the team's offensive linemen may not be getting high grades per PFF the last couple weeks with pass blocking, but we have to start to consider that we have to just consider Lamar Miller's a star because he does nothing but produce. And this season as well, if we break down the type of runs he has and why he's not producing, we have to start considering that he's a star, and it's pretty obvious based on last season and how they're using him this season that he's.
That, yeah.
So you said we were going to get to it. Why don't we just get to it now about the O-line?
Yeah, this is the thing about this, right? And this is the info we have on from NFL.com. This season, when Lamar Miller runs outside, he's terrible. And you guys have seen this, right? You guys have seen these little pitches and these little outside runs they keep trying to do out of the shotgun with Lamar, right?
Yeah.
And it's not working. It looks a little different than the read option stuff that maybe last year Lamar was running up the middle a lot. This year, between the tackles, he's getting 4 yards a carry. He has 11 carries between the tackles, 4 yards a carry, and even that's a little bit unfair because most of those carries were 9 people in the box, and he was still able to put that game away. But running outside left and outside right, he has 12 carries, 25 yards, and running between the tackles also on those 4 yards a carry, carries of 4+ yards, and it's just pretty plain to see that he's an effective between the tackles back. He has good vision, he has good strength, and for some reason Joe Philbin on down to Bill Lazor, they think he's not good, or they don't trust him, or they think he's not going to stay healthy. They are scared out of their minds to use him like a normal running back, and it's pretty astounding to continue to watch because he's actually been good between the tackles this year and a tiny bit of carries that he gets. At least the numbers say that.
I forgot the number, but wasn't it like he has like less than like 5 games in his career where he's gotten 20 or more carries?
Yep. When he actually got 18 carries a game over his last 3 games, he happened to be amazing across the board because he's very good.
So let's ask the question: who is exactly? Why? Why does this happen?
Lazor.
But is it because the Dolphins seem to play from behind a lot also?
No, I mean they were behind by 7 points these last 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's a Joe Philbin and Bill Lazor issue.
So it's a completely scheme-based issue.
Well, that's the thing. It's not scheme. The scheme was great last year, though. I mean, Lamar Miller, they'll motion a receiver into the backfield, right? And then the receiver will move pre-snap. He'll take the inside linebacker out of there. A corner has to account for Ryan Tannehill because he's a threat to run. A little bit of read option. A difference, you mix it in with the carries that Lamar was getting, and the offense was running the ball incredibly last year. I mean, you had an incredible dual threat quarterback. You have an 1,100-yard rusher who gets 5 yards a pop, who's efficient inside and in short yardage, and they've completely went away from that by they've passed 75% of their plays this year. And they keep running plays out of the shotgun. It's amazing. It's amazing how they.
it it's a freaking it's a Mountain West offense. They're running a Mountain West offense in the NFL, which is mind-boggling because if you have that much meat up front, even if they're questionable, even though that's a whole other can of worms and the Dolphins' offensive line, we could like spend 3 hours talking about them. At least give it a chance, please, Bill Lazor. Run the ball a
But you
little
know,
bit.
but I'll contest your assertion that we don't know. I disagree. I think we do know. We know that last year they were great,
They
and
were a
and it's
Yes,
top,
and it's
like a
rel
top
and
10
it's
offense.
relatively the same personnel.
it is.
So I this to me, and I hate doing this because I think that for the most part, few coaches are outstanding either way, outstandingly bad or outstandingly great. I think for the
Yes.
most part, talent is going to win games. Most of these coaches are pretty experienced in their jobs. But this
Mm,
is a case where this is one of those cases where you can clearly point to a coach and say, well, this is just kind of silly.
yep. Completely agree.
Quarterback's out of his mind though. This guy's good.
And I mean,
Like
yeah,
Eric Eric Elizondo has been posting all these vines of those crazy throws on Twitter, and it's like I watch them
Oh my
over
God.
and over and over. It's like, oh my god, the Dolphins have this guy, and he used to. And we basically took a flyer on him effectively. Like, oh my god, this is
It's funny. It's
amazing.
funny. It's funny how the narrative is though. Like, oh, we took a flyer, we got lucky. It can't be that Jeff Ireland drafted him. It can't be, right? Like it has to be. No. Who gets cut? Who got? Oh yeah, Will Davis gets traded. Thanks, Ireland. Ryan Tannehill's amazing. Oh, we got lucky. We took a reach, or
Well,
something crazy happened. It's just something crazy. It can't be Jeff Ireland's guy doing well. It can't
no,
be.
I wasn't putting that baggage on it. I'm just
we
amazed.
lost we lost viewers once we brought up Jeff Ireland.
I'm just amazed at the fact that this guy, like we were talking about earlier this week, was the 23rd dual threat quarterback in the nation coming out of
Three-star recruit coming
three-star
out of high
recruit
school.
coming out of high school, and now he's one of the top 10, top third quarterbacks in the NFL. That's
That happens.
incredible.
That happens occasionally.
It happens occasionally, but we're lucky as fans to have this happen to us. I'm
It
just
You're
took it took it took like what 14
lucky
years.
Jeff Ireland. You're lucky Jeff Ireland. It took Jeff Ireland drafting.
it took Jeff Ireland doing his research. Yes, he's a
Ah,
Jeff Ireland
man.
for
It's funny because we'll criticize player development and drafting, right? Because if we like the GM, he drafted well and the coaches didn't develop him. If we like the
mm,
coach, he didn't draft him well. In this case, people don't like either, so it's just we like him
luck.
and nobody gets the credit.
Ah man,
No, but he's a good quarter. My main thing about this is why I'm not upset. I mean, it sucks that the Dolphins aren't good, but
yes,
I'm not upset because Ryan Tannehill is gonna outlive Joe Philbin. Like he's under contract for 6 years. He's
yes.
27 years old. The
Mhm.
arm talent is legit. Quarterbacks age pretty well in this league,
They
even
do
though
because
he is athletic. He doesn't rely on that. And as long as the most important position on the field is under control for a long time,
hmm
and he's a very productive one at that position. I mean,
Yep.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried. Look, I mean, I'm not. Look, the Dallas Cowboys went through and changing coaches and changing systems and disappointing seasons and this and that. And Tony
Yes.
Romo's is there for a while, and at the end of the day, it's going to shine through. It's going to eventually break right because the quarterback's so good.
I I agree, and this is why I'm actually kind of positive about this year too, is because if you put Tannehill and Jarvis Landry and Jordan Cameron and Devontae is gonna show up, he's gonna get introduced into the offense sooner or later. I think this team has a very capable offense, regardless of what people say, regardless of the offensive line narrative. And it's been 2 weeks, so we have no idea what the defense is actually going to play like. We know.
We don't, but uh, we do at the
Is it
same
concerning
time.
though?
Yeah. All right, so that's the thing about the defense, right? So the defense, the offense is more of a worry because the offense is a more talented unit. And the offense
Yes.
is, in my opinion, what's supposed to carry this team. They are one of the five most talented offenses in the world, as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm.
or higher. Maybe, I mean, they're so talented and deep with skill position playing and quarterbacks. Now, the defense is a different story. The defense has
Yeah,
an incredible offensive line that's
defense.
getting that's getting I'm sorry, defensive line that's getting decent pressure, not great pressure through 2 games. But there's some schematic things that maybe isn't making it easier for.
They're not getting sacks though.
No, but they're getting decent. They're getting some hurries, and they had the Olivier Vernon sack that got brought back, and they had I
Or
think
Mitchell and Phillips, I think, have one, and
yeah.
that's it. And then that's it.
Yeah, so the issue right now is that you have this, the Jaguars chewed up the Dolphins with a couple of big plays, and the issue is, and a couple of short plays, and the issue is kind of everybody's complaint that why are these corners playing, 7 to 10 yards off the line, and a small me would say, oh, so they can jump routes and so they can, um, be conservative and prevent the big play. But what you're seeing is basically being 10 yards off the line is receivers can run unjammed and just get into their routes comfortably. And these professional wide receivers are fast, and if you're not Brent Grimes, even if you are Brent Grimes, that's kind of tough to deal with. Just letting a receiver sit into his route instead of jamming him, or at least shading him a
Or
little
yeah, right.
differently. And then on top of that, they can hit you with screenplays and short plays, and they got him with a couple of pitches, and these corners are 10 yards off. It's weird. It's weird, and maybe if it was excellent personnel, I can understand. But you know, there's some things going on there that don't do a good job of. It doesn't help. It doesn't help Jamar Taylor and Bryce McCain to let Allen Hurns run 10 yards without being touched and just get momentum and get into his 4.4 speed and his routes. I don't think it helps them. So I'm a little concerned with that. I'm more concerned with the offense, but defense, I understand that their players aren't talented everywhere, so I can get mishaps, but you know,
But
that's
All
the
I know
thing.
is the defense needs to play a very good game on Sunday for the Dolphins to have a chance. I think, in my opinion, the defense wins the game Sunday if the Dolphins end up winning the game. It's going to be because of the defense more than the offense.
I mean, is LaShawn gonna play on Sunday? Does anybody know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the Dolphins are going to be without Brandon Albert. They're going to be without, who else is doubtful?
My experience of Tyrod Taylor is the fact that he played his first starting game as a starter ever against probably the worst secondary in football against the Indianapolis Colts. So he's probably not going to do that again. But he looks okay. He doesn't look like a liability.
The
What
Bills are so deep, though.
they are, and they have a really good defense.
The Dolphins are probably going to be without Sims and Brandon Albert, which makes Jason Fox a starter,
Hmm,
which probably won't go well.
no.
So I mean, I don't think the offense is gonna get going,
Hmm.
and especially with Miller, he's also questionable, so he might not play. So we're looking at an offensive line without Brandon Albert, who wasn't that good this year to begin with, but an offensive line with Jason Fox and potentially Damian Williams or Jonas Gray starting at running back. So I think the defense has to put up points.
Or hmm, I guess so. Unless it doesn't really matter because you're gonna play 75. You're gonna pass 75% of the time. So what does it matter who your running backs actually are?
Yeah, but I mean Tannehill potentially might have no time
I
to
know.
throw.
I know.
It's just be happy that there's a great quarterback who's entering his physical prime under contract for a while because these coaches probably won't be there too long. You guys
No.
know I never liked Joe Philbin, but I understand the nuance to the point where I get that good coordinators and good talent kind of don't make him that important. But
Mm,
if he's not going to correct play calling like this, um, and we know he brings nothing to the table in terms of game day play calling himself. He was not a play caller before this,
no.
so need to change because a young coordinator who I don't know, you know,
Would
it's
you say that this year's a win-win no matter what?
yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's a win-win. I mean, before the season, it's funny you say that because it is a all or nothing result. I looked at it as a lose-lose because if you win, it's the same thing though. It's an all or nothing result. It's either you win, lose, as in don't make the playoffs. Uh,
I mean,
you
Joe
lose your coach,
Philbin's
but you
gone
lose.
no matter what, unless they get to the
Yeah,
playoff or even potentially win a playoff.
but then if they get to the playoffs because of Ryan Tannehill's brilliance and Philbin stays, like that's crappy. That's crappy. Like because it's just kind of feel kind of crappy because things aren't going to change. This man is set. Like Joe Philbin is Joe Philbin. He's somebody who's never going to be an intricate play caller. He's somebody who is not clearly uh, going to rely on the run any more than he has, and that's Joe Philbin. It's just Joe Philbin. It just is who he is. So it's going to be really crappy if Ryan Tannehill is brilliant and carries them to 10 wins, and they lose in the divisional game, and then that means that Ross keeps Philbin. God bless Stephen Ross too, arguably the greatest owner in South Florida sports, but you know he's a little bit blind to things sometimes. That's all.
He has a connection issue. Uh,
What?
he
Who
doesn't
is
let
that?
go
Oh.
of Ross. He stays. He's loyal. We'll say that.
Yeah, it was a bad idea to let a coach have his fourth season, if you believe in him. I don't know why I believe in him, but I get the theory of letting him finish out 4 years, you know. But with that being said, it will have been 4 years. So, uh, I don't know what upside he saw in Joe Philbin. I don't know. I don't understand what Joe Philbin's plan or process was that you see upside other than saying, I'm an organized coach that'll have a team that won't be penalized. Like that's not upside and that's not appeal to me. It's just
It's
that's why he was hired though, right? That's why he was hired because he and then to be fair to him, he did come through with that. They haven't been very penalized in his time here. And supposedly he's very rigid with schedules and whatever, and that may make for efficiency in any workforce. But he's not a creative, innovative, innovative coach. He's not on the cutting edge of anything.
mm,
And he brings and he puts in place a finesse offense and a finesse defense with coordinators he's comfortable with, and it's crappy. It's crap. I don't like him personally, but I acknowledge that he's a pretty average coach. But if he's going to enable this type of play calling for this much longer, he may objectively be bad. Yeah, one of the few objectively bad.
this
At the well, did he get the job because Jeff Fisher just picked the Rams?
Yeah, I didn't like Jeff Fisher either. Stephen Ross, man, he's who has the best intentions, and to be fair to him, there wasn't a great coaching market. I mean, what are you gonna do? Throw? I don't know. What are you gonna try to hire away Bill Belichick? I
Or
wanted Rex Ryan to be honest, but
this
yeah,
past offseason?
yeah, I did. I really did. I
Yeah,
really, really did.
is
I think
do you,
he would have been good with the defense.
But at least you would have. Well, you would be good with offense too. Rex Ryan win 11 games twice with Mark Sanchez? Listen,
yeah.
if Ryan Tan
But that defense
if
was incredible.
Rex Ryan had Ryan Tannehill,
And
listen, Rex Ryan is brilliant at this. I can promise you, Rex Ryan would be covering up a lot of weaknesses in this defense, with disguises, with more creative, play calling. And then this team would have an identity, which is something they don't have with Joe Philbin, other than saying, "Oh, we don't get penalized that much." That's not an identity. That just means they're disciplined with penalties.
I,
They have no identity other than being finesse.
I'm not the most attentive football watcher, to be completely honest. A lot of stuff gets by me. But I noticed that the Dolphins don't stunt, they don't blitz, they don't shift, they don't do any of these things. It's like we have four defensive linemen, and they're just going to do their thing. And it's sort of very uncreative. And I
Yeah, I see
think
that
that,
this year.
yeah, because that's the least you can do if you have like questionable pieces everywhere. You could stunt a little. You can do some stuff.
Yeah.
You could do a corner blitz every once in a while. I don't remember the last. I remember from last year the Dolphins don't do corner blitzes.
You know
I
what
wish they
though?
could
Well, they do
do.
sometimes. They do sometimes, but you know what? When the Dolphins had that 5 or 6 game stretch last year where the defense was amazing,
The
I was
first like
becoming I was becoming a coil guy. Like I 1-2, right? And then they went to 4-2, and then they were 6-4, and they beat San Diego, and um, I was like, man, I was becoming a coil guy, and then
this
he
is
just couldn't adjust anymore.
Coyle's third year,
Fourth, man. He's been here
fourth.
the whole time. He's been here the whole time. And then Philbin looked at him, stared at him last year, and said, "You didn't adjust the whole second half of the season, and stayed with your defense. I want to keep that. I want to keep comfort." Joe Philbin, I don't know how to call defensive plays. I'm just going to keep the guy that I'm comfortable with, and he won't adjust. And this is
I,
going to happen again.
I feel like every year we have this like there was a stretch where the defense looked amazing under him, and then it just goes south.
Ah, man, it's tough. I think. Well, this year they get to prove it. You know, they get to prove that they can adjust, and they get to actually make adjustments. I mean, I'm hopeful that Bill Lazor, being a younger coach, I mean, I know this is a stereotype, but I'm hopeful that a younger coach will recognize things and maybe adjust quicker than older guys who might be more stubborn and stuck in their ways. Because Joe Philbin's not changing. I mean, he's not. He's just not what men of his age and experience do. So,
So there's been a
you just
lot of
hope.
media hype about Joe Philbin getting fired mid-season. How do you guys feel about him getting fired
Stephen
mid-season?
Ross doesn't roll like that.
No.
Well,
Stephen Ross is
he
no.
backs
Stephen Ross
Sperano.
likes him. Yeah, but think about what you're saying though. Think about why. Think about when he fires Sperano.
I Are you asking me or I don't
I
remember.
just remember it was late in the season.
It was late in the season, and he did not, and he's not the one who even hired him. So, a coach that he didn't even hire, he gave a leash to start whatever it was, right? 1-9 or whatever. I don't know what it
Yeah.
was. And then
Yeah.
so he hired Joe Philbin and likes Joe Philbin. He's not gonna
Yes.
fire him anytime soon. He's not gonna fire him.
No. All right.
I mean,
Old
unless
man.
I think he can get it. Yeah, it's like mid-season if things go like real bad.
I just look at them as old, comfortable men. I just look at them. I just get the vibe from Ross and Philbin as being old, finesse, comfortable men. Old, like men
Cool.
with good, old, nice men with great intentions
Cool.
who seem a little above. Who seems like things are always over their head, you know. And
Cool.
this isn't Ross's fault because it's not his. He's not the one making. You know, it's not his decision on the football field. He puts
No,
the
he
money
doesn't.
down. Ross is
Yes.
good, but it seems like it's over their heads in terms of Ross maybe having not kept him, and then every week obviously we know he's the nothing man with no identity.
The
Know what we're
nothing man.
getting every week with him. He's just a guy. He might as well not be there. So
But can I ask another question? If the Dolphins had the exact same record they've had under Philbin, which is effectively 500, but he had an identity, would you feel better?
yeah, well, yeah. Well, to be honest, yes. Psychologically, I have a bias toward identifying with something. However, I feel like if they had an identity, they would not underperform. Um, they would, yeah. So I think they would be better for having.
For not having the nothing man.
But to answer your question though, from my perspective personally, just independent of the Dolphins,
Yes.
yes, I am biased toward coaches with a specialty.
All right.
I feel more comfortable with having a team that has an identity and an approach and a process that I can count on.
All right.
Well, wouldn't it be more of a letdown if we had a coach, or the Dolphins had a coach with an identity, and they were still finishing 7-9, 8-8, 6-10?
That would be weird. That would be weird to have a team that was top 3 in defense or offense.
Yeah,
Can you?
that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be like more? Dan, you were asking like if you would like hate Philbin less,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I think
Yes.
you'd hate him
I
more.
would. No. I'd hate him less. I'd hate him less, and it would be more so a talent issue. Because if Rex Ryan was here and the defense was not struggling, and even if Bill Lazor was playing things wrong and Ryan Tannehill was brilliant, the Dolphins would win the AFC East.
All right.
Or the AFC East, and if definitely be a playoff team.
I still think they're a playoff team right now.
Sure, maybe,
I'm not overreacting
maybe.
after 2 losses.
No, I'm not overreacting either.
No, I'm
but
not saying you're overreacting.
right, but it wouldn't be surprising if they went 10-6, and it wouldn't be surprising if they went 8-8, and it's a little bit uninspiring to have coaching that's unidentified. Or that doesn't have a proven track record. So that's why that's why it doesn't instill a lot of faith, other than the fact that the quarterback is outstanding.
Yes.
I wanted to touch up a little on just like start talking about the upcoming game Sunday, almost tomorrow. We're almost at midnight. What do you guys think going in?
I want to pick them to lose, but I don't want to flip on my prediction either. If I pick them to lose, I'm essentially saying I was wrong, which I very well could be wrong, but is logically silly to call. I'm going to stick with what I initially thought, is that they're going to get off to a 5-1 start and they're going to beat Buffalo. So I think they're going to beat Buffalo because based on these 2 games, it doesn't look that way. But these 2 games should not be enough to shift my mind, which everybody else changes their mind, which is silly. I'm going to stick with it. They're going to beat Buffalo, even though the evidence of a small sample won't.
You can go, Daniel. You go first.
I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think the big problem is when you start your season with 2 games on the road, is like it makes all the things that you want to do harder to do. It's harder to run the ball on the road. It's harder to put pressure on the quarterback on the road. All these things, and honestly, maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm trying to find positives where there aren't any. But I think they'll finally be able to run the ball a little bit. I think Sue is going to feed off the home crowd energy, and I think we're actually going to play a good game. And it's gonna be close, but it's gonna be like a 24-17 kind of thing.
I'm just gonna bring it down. I don't think they're gonna win Sunday.
But did you think they would before the season?
I said a 5-1 start in my. I said from the beginning that the loss would either come from Buffalo or Houston.
But if you think they're going to be 5-1, then you're saying you're wrong based on 2 games.
Well, I said they were gonna be 5-1 to start, and I had a gut feeling that that one loss they were either gonna be Houston or they would be Buffalo, but one of those losses were gonna come from one of those teams. And especially with a backup left tackle coming in. Lamar Miller, not going to be 100%. Might not even play. I think, but for the Dolphins to have a chance to win, the defense needs to create a lot of turnovers and probably score some points for the Dolphins.
They'll win. They'll win if they give Lamar Miller the ball. And he runs.
If they don't give Lamar Miller the ball when he's healthy, I don't think they're gonna give it to him when he's probably like 80%.
I don't know. We don't know what he is. What is he? Questionable, and he keeps saying he's gonna play. I don't know, man.
He's questionable. I haven't heard him say he's gonna play.
I read that he's playing.
You did?
Yeah, I mean that's what he says. I mean
they brought Jonas Gray up, so I don't know. I thought that was an indication that he might not play.
I don't know. It's
I
not
think
obviously it's not inspiring to pick them to win right now. It's not, but uh it's just not logical to.
if like I said, if the defense can put points, they'll win the game.
That's that's basically the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, and especially because Tyrod
Or-
Taylor is conservative. He's not gonna like make stupid throws, and LaShawn isn't a fumbler, so
Occam in that case.
yeah.
Right, Dan, we got to roll with
Yeah.
Occam's razor.
Well, we got roll. Yes, you have to be parsimonious.
I don't like
Occam's razor always. Occam's razor, man. Just assume that the most likely thing is going to happen. Just assume it, even though it's not guaranteed.
I-
So I'm going to assume that the Dolphins aren't going to sit there and get a pick six and
Yes.
score a defensive touchdown. I'm gonna because it's just not likely.
Or return another punt.
But I will say, I want AJ Francis to be active and play Sunday.
But what difference is he gonna make if the corners are 10 yards off?
I think he's better than CJ Mosley.
But I don't know. Are we losing because of that, or are we losing because these corners are 10 yards off and we never disguise anything, and then it's so predictable?
Like, all right, they've been getting a quarterback at a decent pace, but they're not getting sacks. I mean, CJ Mosley hasn't done anything. I don't see it.
This team has Ndamukong Suh, Cameron Wake, Olivier Brennan, and Earl Mitchell. We're saying we need to bring in AJ Francis to get.
Earl Mitchell might not go Sunday either.
Listen, man, AJ Francis isn't saving it. I mean,
I'm not saying he's gonna come in. I'm not saying he's gonna come in and get 10 sacks and a strip and like catch 3 touchdowns and rush for one. I'm just saying, like, I think if we're gonna have we should give him a shot. He played very well in the preseason, and I think
yes,
I think he deserves a shot.
But that one man cannot supersede a bad scheme or a predictable.
That's not what I'm saying. I just think he should get a chance.
I personally don't. I don't care. Of course, I don't care about CJ Mosley. Of course, he can.
Because I have no idea who half of these people are. So whatever.
All Dad knows is that Sue guy. He doesn't know his first name, and Ryan Tannehill. I think he's heard the name. He's heard the name Wake before too.
I know the CJ Mosley.
You're the type of guy that calls Jordan Cameron Jordan. Put it that way.
Especially because there's another tight end named Jordan, which makes it even more complicated.
Even the Dolphins,
and then there's the Cameron Jordan in the NFL.
Hey, even the announcers, have you noticed that? Call him Cameron Jordan. Like, I've seen typos in the Miami Herald.
Because Cameron Jordan plays for the Saints, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know anything.
There's a Cameron Jordan on the Saints or something.
Is there really? Really?
Yeah. That's why it's like such a big confusion, because there's a Cameron Jordan and Jordan Cameron.
Are you ready to bring in Matt Moore?
Yes. As the DN, though. Let's just stir up QB controversy. Because you know it's coming too.
Oh my God!
From the Big O, when Tannehill's stat line's not going to look too great Sunday.
Hey, remember somebody on Twitter saying Tannehill should have won the game against Jacksonville?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? I don't understand the concept.
He should have went 1-on-11. And just basically the Bills basically kick it off, and then he is the lone kick returner with no blockers in front of him. Is just 12-on-1, and he's supposed to just run it back.
Yeah,
and that's the end.
Yeah, that brings a booming end to this podcast.
On that,
quarterbacks just play 1-on-12.
Yes.
We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
I think this was bad.